All right. Welcome to the Finfluential. This is Marcus Monero here. We are all about increasing your financial confidence, raising your human capital, and bringing the message of economic and financial freedom to the whole world, to one listener, one viewer, one reader, one subscriber, one individual at a time. But definitely we want to scale it, make it big, 10x it, 100x it. But today I want to bring to you all the way from the beautiful country of Italy, Chip Stites. Did I pronounce the last name correctly?
Absolutely perfect. Chip Stites.
Chip Stites, and he is from the Laughing Retirement. I think that's kind of fascinating. I mean, for me, I never really thought about retirement, but now as you get older, you start making money. You're trying to save and try to invest. You start to how do you say, dive in deeper, into what retirement's all about. But at the same time, me and many other people, we're kind of like clueless when it comes to retirement, what's the right way. And, many of us has gone through some experiences during 2008. And now we saw what happened last year with 2020. And a lot of companies have kind of messed up with their retirement, accounts or programs. So I know you've been in this space for quite a long time. So instead of me just talking about you, how about you take the stage and tell us what's your origin story into the space?
Well, Marcus, thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. First of all, you're right. I have spent about 40 years in the financial services industry. Almost all of it was as an independent, doing things on my own. And I spent 3 years in an institution, and during that time I managed over $100 million, and I was responsible for $800 million of people's money and the oversight on that. And those 3 years taught me a great deal. They taught me positive things, and they taught me negative things. The institution I worked for was bought by another institution. It was bought by another institution. It was bought by another institution, literally 3 times in a row over a period of 2 years. And after telling us, don't worry, nobody's going to get fired, 700 of us were laid off. So I was back on the street again, trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I decided to build my own business again. So I went door to door for the 3rd time to build a business. And while I was in this institution, managing money, I saw a portfolio that amazed me. It was different than anything else I had ever seen. And it stuck with me from 1995 on. And today I call it the PI, the Perpetual Income Engine. Now, when I was working, I was taught, just like every financial advisor is, to sell mutual funds. That's what we were taught to do.
Yeah.
When I was at the bank, I was introduced in the late 90s, ETFs started to come around, exchange-traded funds, and I was introduced to stocks as well. And this portfolio that I saw that turned me on so much had absolutely nothing but stocks in it. This had only stocks that earned an income. That was all he had. And when the markets went down, this portfolio didn't. And when the markets went up, this portfolio didn't as much, but it continued to earn money irregardless. And I became fascinated with that. And then I started reading Dalbar and Associates. And I don't know whether you've heard of them, but they've been around for a long time. And they rank and rate the mutual fund industry and the various financial industries and what they do. They're a research company, basically.
Gotcha.
And in 1996 or 7, I read that 70% of mutual funds don't beat their index. As a matter of fact, they're well behind them. In 2000 to 2010, I was reading that 75% of mutual funds don't beat their index.
Wow.
And 3 years ago, I read that 88% of mutual funds from 2010 to 2014 were behind their index. Now, if I'm out there selling something that doesn't do what it's supposed to do and is charging a lot of money, I got to think twice about whether or not I'm going to do that, right?
Yeah, true.
And then I started looking at ETFs. Well, ETFs are less expensive than mutual funds, and I thought, well, this is a better deal, so I switched to ETFs. And then I started reading about ETFs. And then I began saying, okay, what is the real charge here? What are people really being charged to manage their money? So they're paying a financial advisor and then they're paying somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm. True, true.
So I got a question. I have $350,000. That's what I've saved.
All right.
And I'm ready for retirement. And I'm paying 1%, just 1%, out to my mutual funds. That's all I'm paying. That's not high. That's low.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I took that 1% and I saved it at 5% for my whole retirement of 20 years, how much would I save? Just a guess, a wild guess.
Oh. Oh, 1%.
$3,500 a year for 20 years is how much? At 5%.
Oh, okay. 5% or so, 5 to the 10. 1. 6. Oh, in 20 years' time, 7. Like what? It's like. I'm horrible. I'm horrible at math. So,
That's all right. That's all right. Listen, most people are horrible at math. Most people say, I'm only spending 1%. 1% saved at 5% for 20 years is $115,730. So if I said to you, Marcus, if you stop using mutual funds at 1%, I'm going to put an extra $115,000 in your pocket.
Yeah.
We worry about running out of money.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
I'm working with a lady today who is literally would spend $400,000 over the life of her retirement.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
I'm working with another person who would spend $350,000 in their retirement. I know of financial advisors that charge 1.85%. Just the advisor, not the ETF and the mutual funds they're using. Just the advisor.
Okay, I'm getting goosebumps. Okay.
I am on a crusade, Marcus, to teach people to do things simple, to understand that they are capable. Not only capable, but they have the ability to do the right thing for themselves and buy simple stocks that pay them for their risk. It's estimated by a guy named Mark Lichtenfeld, who wrote a book called Get Rich with Dividends, that 90% of the return of the S&P 500 comes from reinvested dividends. 90%.
Okay.
Now, if you didn't spend the 1% you're spending, if you didn't spend the 1.5% you're spending, and you just put it in stocks that returned you dividends and you reinvested them, and you did a simple $2,000, $3,000 a month for 40 years, you'd have 4 times more than the average person has today. And you do it with less risk, less expense, and less worry. Those 3 things: less risk, less expense, and less worry.
Oh, okay. That's no, actually, I didn't expect. I didn't expect the numbers to be that high, but at the same time too.
No one does.
Yeah.
You think I'm just spending 1%.
Exactly.
1% is huge.
Oh, yeah.
I've been laughed off of retirement post sites, chat rooms, when I said, save 1%. Save the 1% that you are spending in mutual funds or ETFs, just save it. Oh, 1% is nothing. Why would you even talk to us about 1%? We're buying Tesla.
Gotcha.
And that's how people think. So that's why this crusade, that's why the idea of the laughing retirement. Because
Oh, okay.
retirement is the best time of life.
True.
Retirement is when you put it all together and you don't have somebody telling you, you got to go to work. You got to go here. You got to finish this by this weekend. You got to do this. This is your goal. You got to finish this. Now you're doing things for yourself, Marcus.
Oh, I love the sound of that. I mean, to me, what you just said, the first statement comes to mind. To go where you're treated best. To have that, that time freedom.
Absolutely.
And I guess what you just shared right now in terms of the numbers and I guess also what you brought up is a mindset issue too, with many of us, including myself too, that that 1% is just draining away. Instead of that, you could be having the third thing you said, that have that peace of mind, less worries. Like, ooh, that is. I can't say why it's laughing retirement.
Let me tell you a story, okay?
Sure, yeah.
It's a quick one.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
going to be long. When I was working and managing that $100 million for this institution, I had one portfolio that was different. And this portfolio was about $1.75 million, and it was owned by a 37-year-old kid. And it had no mutual funds, no ETFs, nothing. It was just stocks. And it was all names I knew. Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, all of them were there.
Oh, okay.
Everything that I knew. And finally, I kept looking at this thing and how it kept going up, but it didn't move. It didn't go up 10% when the market went up 10%. It would go up 2 or 3, but it kept growing. And I couldn't understand it. I couldn't get it in my head. And so I called the owner and I said, well, will you go to lunch with me? And he said, sure. So we went out to lunch and we talked about the portfolio. And I finally said, how did you put this together? And he said, I didn't put it together.
Oh, what?
I said, well, who did? He said, my dad put it together. I inherited this from my father. I said, really? How much was it? He said, well, I got half and my brother got half. It's $3.6 million. I said, you're kidding me. Was your father some kind of stockbroker or mathematician or something like that? He said, no, he was a conductor on a train.
Wait, what?
He was a conductor on a train.
Wait, oh.
I said, you're kidding me. He said, no, and it was me and my brother and my mother, and he was a conductor on a train. I said, did your mother work? He said, no. She just took care of the household. I said, okay, how did your father do $3.6 million? I don't understand. And he said, well, my father had 4 rules. Rule number 1.
All right.
Don't ever buy an investment you don't understand or you don't know about.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
Rule number 2. Don't ever buy an investment that does not pay you to own it.
Okay.
Rule number 3. Never spend the dividends. Rule number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Don't invest anything you can't afford to lose.
All right, okay. Fair.
So this guy would take, and remember, this is during a time of commission. This is when stocks were charging a commission to buy them.
Right. Yeah.
So this guy in the late 50s started buying stocks, Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola. Microsoft wasn't even around, didn't even exist.
Right.
Johnson and Johnson, all the names you've heard of. Mm-hmm. And if he had $100, he would buy it. If he had $200, he would buy something. And he just reinvested the dividends. That's all he did. And 40 years later, this guy's got $3.6 million. And I said, did he ever use the money? He said, oh, yeah, we'd go on vacations. We go on great vacations. But that's all he would do.
Incredible.
$3.6 million on a conductor's salary with a family of 4. Do you know what the difference is? He kept it simple. Occam's razor.
Okay. Yeah.
There's nothing complicated in there. There aren't any mutual funds. There's nothing expensive in there. Once he bought a stock, there was no cost. He reinvested the dividends, and what we forget today, what people forget today, is he gave it time. Time. We want everything to happen fast.
We want instant gratification, right?
We do. We want gratification immediately. The holding period for stocks back in the 70s was around 7 years. Do you know what the holding period for a stock is today?
No idea.
5.5 months.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you know when stocks make their most money? 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a simple method of building generational wealth and having a retirement that you never have to worry about. Because once you've created this, you stop reinvesting and you just have those companies send you the money. Show me the money.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
This is mind-blowing.
That's all you have to do.
Wow, that is totally insane. That is just crazy beyond belief. You know. Now I'm a little speechless. I mean, how that gentleman, that kid's dad, who was a conductor, just followed pretty simple steps and accumulated. I guess in that time was 3.7. So I guess maybe in this current with inflation, I'm sure it's like way more, right? Like in terms of value.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more now, but we forget that he went through the 70s with high inflation. He went through the flash crash of 87. He went through the interest rate rise of 94. He went through the drop of 2000, 2003. He went through 2008.
Gotcha.
He went through all of those things. And the things people forget is during a market drop, they keep paying their dividends. They've already set the money aside to pay the dividends.
Right.
So when the market goes down, you actually earn more money, not less. Because you're reinvesting into a stock that costs less and pays you more.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Right. True. That's also, yeah. Incredible. That. All right. So once you had that conversation with this kid and he shared that story, like, what was your? I mean, what was going through your mind, like? Did it like made you question a lot of things? I mean, like the industry and.
Well, I'll tell you what it made me do. I went back and I looked at the Dalbar Associate reports on mutual funds. And then I looked at mutual funds this was 1997, 1998, 1999. And I watched value funds start putting in a ton of tech. And a value is not tech. So I started selling my mutual funds. And I started buying ETFs. There weren't many then. Back right before 2000, there weren't many ETFs. SPY was the big one. And I started looking at individual stocks. Then I went through 2000, 2003, and I realized that my clients did better having less mutual funds than clients that had more mutual funds. My clients that had less mutual funds did better than my clients that had more mutual funds. Now ETFs are coming along, and so I started looking at ETFs and using ETFs and getting rid of mutual funds. Now I start looking at ETFs. And let me give you an example of what ETFs do. We don't think about this, but let's take an ETF that is well known, $30 billion. It's mirror of the Dow. It's the Dow 30 ETF.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
The Dow pays about 1.86% in yield. But if you read the prospectus of the ETF, it doesn't say yield. It says distributive yield. Now that ETF pays about 1.56%. It doesn't charge much. The charge is very small. I think 0.3% or something like that. It's very, very small.
All right.
But it's raking off another 0.3% in dividends. This fund is $30+ billion. What's 0.03% of $30 billion? It winds up being $16 million that this fund gets in addition to what it charges you. So it's charging you in one place and then charging you in another.
All right.
And we put so much faith in ETFs, and we put so much faith in the institutions that we believe take care of us, when in fact, the institution will always take care of itself first, and you second.
That's honest truth, yeah.
But if you own Johnson & Johnson or Coca-Cola or a utility that pays you a 5% dividend, they put you first because they know you're going to sell it if they don't pay you your 5% dividend. And so dividends tend to be more in line with the needs of the people who invest than the growth stock that we put so much faith in. Now, okay. I realize that this is heretical and I should probably be burned at the stake. Wait, nobody talks this way.
No, not at all. That is risky, actually. You know.
This is why I have a crusade. This is why I believe people should learn how to invest in stocks. And I have a simple 4-step process that I'm no genius. If I can do a 4-step process and figure out what I want to buy, so can you, Marcus. So can anybody. Even though financial institutions teach us we can't do it without them.
Yeah. Okay, wow. No, because I think what you just said over there, in the mainstream space, it definitely does sound, definitely it would be heretical, I guess, you know.
Heretical, yeah.
Or closer to, you know, the dark ages where you say something, you know, you get crucified, I guess, in the financial terms, because you're kind of going against the financial Goliaths, yes. You know, so, and I'm sure that, you know, whatever you just shared too, I think initially a lot of people would be kind of shocked, you know, that they're not ready for the truth yet, but I'm sure by now, with all these things that are happening, I think people are starting to question the old status quo. Would you agree, I guess, in your point of view?
I would agree, because I teach a class in how to do this. It's 9 months long.
Gotcha.
We try to create a portfolio that is about half of market risk.
Okay.
That pays around 5%. That continues to grow regardless of what happens. That's why I call it the perpetual income engine, or PI, which we have trademarked.
Okay.
And that's why it's part of the Laughing Retirement, because we want people to enjoy themselves in retirement. And right now in class, I have about 18 people, 2 different classes actually.
All right.
Each. I like to keep the classes small. And I have people who say, Chip, this scares me. I know I need to do it, but I'm scared and I don't know what to do. And so we literally sit down on video and we buy their first stock together hand in hand.
Wow.
I say,
okay.
push this button, push that button now. And we don't put in a lot of money. If somebody wants to start, and remember, there are no commissions now. So if somebody wants to start with 10 shares of a stock that's half of market risk and pays 5%, they can do it. It's not difficult. It's actually liberating, exciting, and more people, because the number one worry of retirees is running out of money. And so the idea of having more money that doesn't run out, because when you're getting a dividend, when somebody pays you a dividend, is that stock price falling? If somebody pays you a 5% dividend, does that stock price go down 5%? No. Because the stock is designed to pay you the dividend and not go down. So you're not taking any money out of principal when you feed yourself.
Right.
I'm making you think, Marcus.
Yeah.
I can see it in your face.
Yeah. No, there are like 3-4 hamsters in my head, just like running in, like, just like running, so I'm just reflecting, what I learned in university. I'm also reflecting, the previous advices I have received, or some of my friends have received and shared. Many of them are kind of, they're okay. Some of them are horrible ideas. I'm sure, you have worked in the financial advising space. You definitely must have heard a thing or two. So, but I think what you shared is, I mean, it is incredible. And well, as far as your program is concerned, the Laughing Retirement, because is it only just focused for, I guess, the like the baby boomers or the Generation X? Okay, it's also for people like like people like millennials and Gen Zs to think about it now too,
If somebody, my focus right now is people between 5 and 10 years before retirement and in retirement. That's my focus.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'll tell you something, Marcus. If a millennial wants to learn this, he or she can make themselves wealthy within 2 to 3 decades and retire early.
Okay.
I listen. I'll teach anybody who wants to listen. I'll teach anyone who wants to learn.
Gotcha.
And here's the objective. The Laughing Retirement originally started out not only as part of this, but because people didn't know how to retire. They identified with their jobs so much that they didn't know what to do with themselves. It's one of the biggest changes that anybody goes through in life. One day you're working and the next day, oh, no, sorry, you don't have anything to do. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And do you know that there are large institutions in the United States that tell their employees, please don't contact any of your friends at work for 6 months?
That I don't know. That's crazy. Why? Why would they do that?
They would do that because their employees are still working. And all of a sudden you got a ton of time and you want to talk to your friends. They don't want you interrupting their work. They want you to create another life. And yet you haven't been trained to do that. So the other part of the Laughing Retirement is how to create a new life, financially and personally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think because I know some of my uncles or some other older family relations, they have worked for companies for like decades, but that's the only life they know. But after that, like they just don't know what to do at home. Like they don't really. I guess from the Eastern culture, it's not it's not ingrained in them to enjoy life to the fullest and go for nice vacations, all that stuff. They always focus on the financial stuff, but I would say, would it be correct, the emotional side? I guess if we talk about personal life, like how to deal with retirement,
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So you also do talk about that. You do dwell in deeper, not
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in April, we're having our first conference here in Italy for 10 days to teach people, to give them an overall plan, to help them put together their own plan for retirement, the non-financial side. We'll spend a little bit of time on the finances.
sure.
Most of the time, it's going to be creating a retirement life. And because it's here in Italy, we're also going to show them how to retire. Because I'll tell you what, Italians have a wonderful sense of time. And time is not money here. Time is enjoyment. That is saying dolce fa niente.
Dolce
which
fa
is
niente?
sweetness. Dolce fa niente.
Fa niente. Okay.
Which means sweetness for no reason. Sweetness for nothing.
I like
and they
that.
describe it as leaving work and going out into the middle of a lake in a rowboat with some wine and some cheese and a little bit of bread and just sitting there listening to nothing.
Wow.
Just enjoying living.
Yeah.
And so we that's why it's one of the reasons we moved to Italy. We love it here.
I bet. No, even my girlfriend. I mean, I think maybe like 2 years ago. I think she went to Italy. So she really loved it. She went to Siena and different other places.
Oh wow!
I mean, she loved it. Let me see. Got me some stuff from Italy. Let me see. It's like a painting. There's like an artwork. I think I have to find it, but.
The art, the music, the architecture, Italian history, the center of the Renaissance, the Medici, the Borgia, Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The things that are here about life that are just tremendous, which is why we chose it.
Okay. It is actually, it's quite surprising that there's maybe very few Americans, especially older Americans, who like leave the United States. The only people who I know who have like some of my friends who have left the United States would be they're sort of like in their 30s or late 30s. They tend to be kind of a liberty-minded kind of people. They move to South America, or they should be former ex-military folks. Some of them, have moved to, like the Middle East or South America or some in Europe. But you are a rare exception where at a later stage you just decided to, like move to a different world, and especially to Italy. It's a totally different life than what you see in the United States. A lot of people go, like, I have some family members, they have their own retirement home businesses in Florida. So it's pretty much all New Yorkers who they all come and retire in Florida. So, or some people go to Arizona near the, I forgot the name of the place, but it's a small retirement city, village, I don't know how you call it, but that's
I think you're talking about Sun City.
Maybe, yeah. So this one, I think your story is exceptional. But I want to ask you: do you see more Americans who are retiring moving out of the United States? In your opinion?
Yes, the numbers are growing. I mean, it's not just my opinion. The numbers are growing, and there are a lot of reasons for this. One reason is that healthcare is so expensive. I mean, in the United States, we were paying $1,400 a month with $6,000 deductible and a number of other things.
Okay.
Here in Italy, we pay about $978 a year for the two of us, and we may pay an extra $150 if we need something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Italy is ranked second in the world in health services according to the World Health Organization.
Okay.
According to some people, it's ranked first in food. Other people will say it has the third freshest food in the world. Mm-hmm. Italy is number 5 in the world for renewable resources, renewable energy. The U.S. is number 6.
Gotcha.
Italy is in the top 20% of the world for safety, for nonviolent crimes. It is an incredible place to live.
Wow. Okay. Okay. No, just the numbers you just talked about. I think that is incredible. And I think, but the most important thing you shared about is the importance of, looking at the financials and also the emotional side too, when it comes to retirement. And yeah,
what we have found in talking to people, and we're writing a book right now. My wife is working on a book with me, and we found that people who change their lives to retire are better off than people who don't.
Okay, yeah.
And by change, you can be saying the New Yorker who moves to Florida or Arizona. You can be saying the person who moves overseas. But we live in Italy and can travel easily all around Europe. London, I think, is $170 round trip.
Okay.
We live in Italy on about 50 to 60% less than the cost of living in the U.S.
Oh, I don't think some of my American friends will. It's hard for them to imagine. They're going to have a hard time believing this. I'm sure you heard. I'm sure you must have heard this thing so many times, right? It's not something new.
Well, I have. I mean, people say, "Isn't it expensive to live in Italy?" Well, it is if you go to Rome and Milan and Florence and you stay in a tourist hotel and you eat tourist meals. Yes, it is. But if you live off in a small community, an hour and a half from Rome, in the middle of the beautiful Apennine Mountains, in a place where most of your food comes from within 10 kilometers of where you live, it is not expensive at all.
Okay. Is it correct that, like, I guess in the countryside of Italy, you have these agriturismo, they have these farm tourisms over there?
Yes. There are agriturismos all over here. As a matter of fact, there are a number of restaurants which are called 0-kilometer restaurants. And what that means is that 80 to 90% of the food that you are eating
right
comes from within 10 kilometers of the restaurant.
Amazing. That is amazing. That is incredible.
So it's fresh food. So we are healthier. I've lost 50 pounds. We are happier. We exercise. I mean, I had high blood pressure in the U.S. I don't have high blood pressure anymore.
That is great to hear that. That's
I'm on this crusade to help people create a retirement which they can enjoy, because, Marcus, you shouldn't. The best part of life should be retirement.
True. Yeah. I mean, that's what we were taught. I mean, it's supposed to be this. this beautiful time of your life, but unfortunately, not many people do enjoy it. Because when I came to the States as a student, of course, obviously Walmart, right? You go to your Walmarts, your Targets, and one of the first people I would meet is the greeters, the Walmart greeters, and they're not students or college students. These are like
These are retired people who need money.
Yeah, and they only get from Social Security maybe what, like $1,200 a month is. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
it depends. No, it depends. You can make from, I think it's between $1,200 and $3,700 a month, and the family is capped at X amount of money for Social Security. But Social Security was never designed to allow you to retire. It was never designed to allow you to retire.
Thanks for saying that. I know that's a hard truth, but a lot of people won't state it.
And so that's why the money you make and the money you keep is so important. And how you keep it is even more important.
Just repeat that statement again, please. Just for my audience.
The money you make
mm-hmm.
and the money you keep is important.
Mm-hmm.
How you keep it is even more important.
Okay. Truly said. That's.
Listen, I have a let me do a quick plug here if I can.
No, sure. Yeah, no, please do. Yeah, I think you covered
from October. Well, I'll send this to you for the show notes, Marcus. From October 25th to 28th
mm-hmm.
at noon Eastern time, I'm holding a free event.
All right.
And it talks about how to create and why to create this kind of financial retirement. Now, we talk about it in terms of retirement, but the person who starts this at 20 or 35 or 40 is way ahead of the guy who doesn't start it until he's 55, 60, 65.
Right.
And so while I focus on retirees, because I'm an old guy,
mm-hmm.
I'm 73 is not exactly a spring chicken, but I'm as happy about I'm happier about my life than I've ever been. And so we're holding this free event. You can get at it by sending an email to info at thelaughingretirement.com or joining our Facebook group at the Laughing Retirement Community.
All right.
On Facebook.
Oh, you got your own community. Nice. That is nice. Okay. That's great to hear.
And so if you subscribe to thelaughingretirement.com, you'll get all this information. You can read over 60 blogs. You can get financial information. You can get the stuff on the emotional, personal side of retirement. It's all there.
That's great to hear. Okay, that is good news because I think, yeah, and also plus you have your own community on Facebook. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, all right. So I guess you cover a lot of aspects, the financial side and the emotional side of retirement. Okay. And I think this is great news for people who are trying to learn. There's not just younger folks, but also older groups as well.
This is the least expensive way to create a consistent retirement income. And the best way to create a retirement life. And I've read, I don't know how many books on retirement and creating a new life in retirement and the financial side of retirement. And I wouldn't consider this a crusade if I didn't feel like there's something better. If there is, show it to me because I haven't found it yet. I'd like to know because we're living a pretty good life here. And part of the reason is the stuff we have now learned because we started retiring 10 years ago. It literally took us 10 years to retire, figure this thing out.
Wow. Okay. No, this is no. I'm sorry. I'm just I'm just blown away. You definitely dropped a lot. A lot of nuggets, golden nuggets. Talking about some of the financial advice. What you learned in your previous career. Talking about the two sides of retirement, and I think in your course, in your program, I guess you have one. But how many programs do you have?
Well, we actually have a few. We have the financial course, which is 9 months long.
Okay.
We have a non-financial course about retirement, which is closer to 6-7 months long.
All right.
But like I tell people, all of these things take time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you laid out a financial plan today for your retirement, I guarantee you 5 years from now it's different. If you lay out a plan for what you want to do in retirement and how you want to live, I guarantee you 5 years from now it's different. Because life changes us. Life makes us move in different directions.
True.
Life throws curveballs at us that we don't expect.
Agreed.
If you had told me 10 years ago that crypto would be the thing, and that I'd have to try to figure out how to invest in something that is completely different,
yeah,
or that the euro would be worth more than the dollar, I'd have said you were nuts. But here I am trying to learn some crypto.
All right.
Trying to create a book, trying to do these things that make my life easy and exciting. It's different than I laid it out 8 years ago.
Interesting. That is interesting. No, I definitely agree with you. I know life can be quite dynamic. Yeah. No, but this is. I don't know. There's a lot of great info to process, but I'm sure. But I also agree with you. It takes time to, try to follow a program, but also at the same time too, you also have to learn how to go with the flow of life, because sometimes things get in. Sometimes you go to changes, right?
In 2010, I always thought I was going to retire in 2013. In 2012, I figured it would be 2015. By 2014, I figured I'd be lucky to get 2018. I made it in late 2017.
All right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That's good. I'm just blown away. I never expected, the topic of retirement, to be really fascinating, and also there are some hard truths you gotta deal with in the status quo. And I mean, personally for me, I felt there's some things that I learned like in my universities or some other, like Edward Jones or some other, advisory groups. I felt in many ways I've been kind of lied about,
I was a financial advisor for years. I was taught to sell mutual funds. That's what I was taught to sell.
Yeah.
I'm curious by nature. I want to find a better way.
Mm-hmm.
In 2008, my average client lost 11% and had it all back the next year. I want to know how something works.
Gotcha.
I want to know the nitty-gritty of it. So when you go to E.D. Jones, and E.D. Jones has a lot of good things, because they will recommend a stock portfolio for you.
Okay.
Almost before any other style of brokerage will.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
The style of brokerage will put you in their own funds or whatever.
Yeah.
E.D. Jones is expensive,
Yeah.
But in some ways, they do a good job. But they're still an institution, and they still take care of themselves, and they still charge a high price.
Mm.
So remember that these guys who are financial advisors, they're just doing what they were taught.
Okay.
And I happen to be curious, and I don't believe what somebody sets in front of me. I want to know why.
Okay. That's No, that's interesting. Yeah, because I guess you're one of the few individuals who actually like critically thinks and try to use their critical thinking skills and understand the nature of how the financial game works. I think a lot of people, they just kind of like float by, or they just follow. They didn't question the narrative. So, but I think now things are starting to change, and yeah, I mean, to me, your crusade is actually is fascinating, and I'm seeing things in a way different light, and I definitely would love for people to definitely learn more about the Laughing Retirement. So, so could you just share again where they can learn more about the Laughing Retirement? And how they can and I guess, do you also do like personal consultations also, or?
I will do consultations with people.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get rich. As a matter of fact, the price of the class, I expect the average person to save their money on the class in the first year.
Okay.
I expect it to pay itself back very, very quickly. It's not expensive. I don't want it to be expensive.
Gotcha.
If you're going to have a crusade and it's expensive, you aren't going to have much of a crusade.
Fair enough. Okay.
So, if somebody wants to send info at the Laughing Retirement.
Okay.
Info at the Laughing Retirement, and request a half an hour of my time, and I'll send you an email, and you can go to my Calendly space.
Okay.
And you can book a half an hour with me for free.
All right. Okay.
And we will talk about what you have. We will talk about what you are doing and how you are thinking, because that's the important part, how you think. The minute you think I can't, you're right. The minute you think I can, you're right. And the object is to realize that you can control your finances, you can control your future, and you can make your retirement the dream you've always wanted it to be, financially and personally. So, Marcus, if you will send me your email address when we're done this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I mean, whatever you share, I'll definitely, it'll be in the links below in my podcast, as well as I will also share it on my YouTube channel as well. So definitely would love for people, because I definitely would love for people to check out your website. And I know you also have the scheduling functionality. So, and you also got a great collection of courses and programs for people to learn and follow. So they definitely will do that.
If you and I can talk offline,
sure, we will.
Interested in it, I'd love to. Send me an email, info@thelaughingretirement.
Absolutely,
and you and I will chat a bit.
All right, sure, sounds good. But anyways, we are close to the end. So before we sign off, any last words of wisdom for especially some of the younger generation, and what would be your
if you're a millennial, if you're in your 20s or 30s, I've heard so many people say, I want to be rich. I want you to think about Aesop's fable, the tortoise and the hare, who won the race. And I want you to think about Occam's razor. Keep it simple. If you will keep your life simple, if you will buy simple stocks. Warren Buffett, the first thing he bought was Coca-Cola. It wasn't the high-flying ETF or mutual fund. He didn't buy the high biotech stock. He bought Coca-Cola. I want you to think about that. Buy things you know. Buy things that you understand. Keep it simple. Invest regularly. Invest after tax. Don't put any more in your IRA or your 401k or your 403b than the match. No more than the match ever. That's a huge mistake. If you can do it, if you will start a discipline, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it, info@thelaughingretirement. If you will keep it simple, if you will do it regularly and give it time, you can have a life that you can't even imagine today. A dream, a life that can be the dream you've always wanted. You just got to be willing to wait and take time and keep effort into it. You can do that.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, no, I think what you said definitely has value, and definitely a lot of my friends, a lot of the millennials, even though I guess the Gen Zs too, they definitely see some value in what you have to say. And hey, Chip, thank you so much for coming to the show, delivering incredible amounts of information like no one has ever heard of, especially on the topic of retirement. That's not something I've been thinking about, but now, I think that this is the kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I'm sure many other people too are watching the show will definitely, will be open-minded for sure. So, anyways, Chip, thank you so much for coming to the show and delivering some great content. Really do appreciate it.
It has been my problem. I'll send you some more stuff for the show notes. If you'll send me your email, we'll talk about it, Marcus. This has been great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for doing this. People need this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anyways, everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Finfluential. This is your place to learn about increasing your financial confidence, raising your human capital, and bringing the message of economic and financial freedom to the whole wide world. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We will talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.